great honor for me to introduce Professor Takeo Kanade from Carnegie Mellon University. Professor Kanade doesn't really need an introduction as he's one of the visionary and pioneering leaders in science engineering, and his contributions all over the place in computer vision, robotics, multimedia, sensors and control, from fundamental theories to deployed systems. Just to name a few of his long-lasting works, the virtualized reality at Super Bowl 2001, the Schneiderman-Kanade phase detector of 98, the dense stereo machine of 96, the Tomasi-Kanade factorization in 92, all the way back to the Lux-Kanade tracker of 1981, which is still in use and popular today, the direct drive arm of 1981, and the origami world theory in 1980. He was the director of the Robotics Institute for 10 years and created a variety of robots from autonomous cars and helicopters to Mars rovers and surgical robots. He founded a large number of things, from the first PhD program in robotics to International Journal of Computer Vision to recently the Quality of Life Center at CMU and the Digital Human Research Center in Japan. He has been elected to the National Academy of Engineering and the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. He received a countless number of awards, including recently the Franklin Institute Bauer Prize for Science. I think I should stop here, and we look forward to his talk on first-person vision, his new paradigm, which has inspired me personally and a lot of other people.
Thank you. Is it? So, as Xiaohen kindly introduced me, I like to do a lot of different things, and I happen to have this slide showing off the kind of things that I've done. I tend to shift my interest from one thing to another. So these are the kind of things that I have done in the last 20 years or so, ranging from mechanical things to virtualized reality, called, and autonomous systems. And I tend to shift my interest. So many people ask, what does this curve mean? I say, this is ears, horizontal axis. Vertical axis is degree of my interest. And you see up and down over the past. And when you do different kinds of things, I certainly I boast that's what I named moment of fame. And one of my moment of fame is Ivision is matrix-like replay every year on football field. I'm pretty sure you have seen movie Matrix. I haven't seen it. But I was told in the climax, the main character jumps and time is frozen and you can see him by spinning around him. And the goal of the CBS was to do the same at football field. And as many of you may know, Matrix is taken this way by having a large number of cameras. I was told up to 250 or so arranged circularly, looking at the same position, and at that position make the actor act. And one of the camera is ordinary camera, so it takes all these things. And at the right moment, all of the cameras takes picture at the same time, and they are concatenated one by one. Therefore, what you see is like this, and then this picture is shown, then this next picture is taken from here, so you see this. Next is this one, so you see this, and so forth. Then as a result, you feel that you're spinning around around him. And what CBS wanted to do was do the same for the football field. But football field is large, and of course, you cannot tell where that interesting thing will occur. So you cannot prepare that studio setup. So what they wanted is to prepare everywhere and track the play. So in order to do that, you replace all the cameras by a robot camera, and they pan and tilt, zoom and magnify, change, so that all the camera look at the same point with the right size, and that point moves as play develops. And that's what we developed. It took 6 months. It was a really stressful development time. And the system actually worked only 1 week before the actual Super Bowl game. And this is what we got. So we put all the camera around the stadium. And in fact, I climbed this scoreboard. It was scary. It was really high. And from there to the end of the field, 200 meters. Therefore, the high zoom, and you have to really precisely control so that all the cameras look at the same point all the time. And this is what we got.
Today's coverage of Super Bowl 35, CBS Sports will introduce a new technology called Ivision. It provides panoramic coverage.
At the Super Bowl, 30 robotic cameras have been mounted on the scoreboard and all along the upper deck at intervals of 7 degrees. Each camera feeds into one of the 30 specially
And
designed
they are the digitizer and recorder at that time. And this is the inside of the control room.
220-degree range.
And this is me.
Designing the software that blends 30 cameras into one dynamic panorama.
This is a gigantic robotic system. You have to have perfect idea of the direction, position of the cameras, and the relationship of the amount of zoom, amount of focus to the command that you give from the computer. And that is one of the hardest jobs.
This player is out, takes the pass, cuts back inside, across the 40 to about the 41-yard line.
All right, here it is. This is an example during the warm-ups, taken just a moment ago.
The announcer.
The pass from Banks to Davis, and look at the way it can whip around. We're all looking forward to it. By the way, it can be used in instant replay situations in the case of a challenge.
We will talk from time to time tonight about
And this is the real
Ivision.
game.
If you're wondering what it is, this is what it looks like.
You got a pass rush, quarterback, he drops back. Look, he sees a big lane. Look at that big lane, so he steps up into it. What always makes it easy for a quarterback is to have a clean line of sight. Watch Trent Dilfer, nice look off, looks to his left, and nobody in front of him. Look at that nice lane.
So
he
that's
can see
how
the receiver down the
this
field.
works.
And what a throw.
And this is halftime show. Like that. So I often say that I boast that I'm the only professor that has ever appeared on Super Bowl. And interestingly, my appearance, 25 seconds, was actually a part of contract, development contract. Clause 6 says, Professor Takeo Kanade must appear, it says, must appear for 25 seconds during the Super Bowl broadcast time with his name and title clearly displayed. So you see my name and title was displayed? And CBS people said, Professor Kanade, do you know that appearing 1 second, buying 1 second in Super Bowl costs $100,000 1 second. So you are 25 seconds. That means you have earned $2.5 million. That's what they said. And in fact, Carnegie Mellon, one was given 30 seconds free advertisement during the March, so-called March Madness, NCAA basketball game, 60 seconds, 30 seconds times 2, brought advertisement. That year, CMU's application doubled. And you can see how powerful the TV is. And so that was one of my boasting moment of fame. The other, another recent my moment of fame is I appeared in the movie of, you know, Bruce Willis, famous guy. So this is his movie, and you see Takeo Kanade appearing in his movie. My students actually sent me a message that, Professor Kanade, you are always tell me that you're busy. I did not realize that you were co-starring with Bruce Willis. And I said, maybe you are exaggerating. I was there only 2 seconds. So that's about it, but that was fun. And in fact, many people apparently saw this and then sent me message that what they saw. Anyway, today I'm not going to talk about those moments of fame, but a little more serious. But I designed the talk so that it's not as technical and tell you what we have done, doing, and we're planning to do in this area. So this first-person vision idea came from, originally, our work on what we named quality of life technology. Robotics has been working on application like military. I have done that too. Space, I've done that too. Industry, I've done that too. But in those cases, often reducing the human involvement was the goal of robotics. But I thought that maybe we should do it a little bit differently. When we want robots to help people, like older people or people with disability, to live independently, the goal should be maybe opposite, to have them more involved with people. And I think that is an interesting perspective that I learned, which I named from autonomous systems for reducing human involvement to symbiotic systems for getting involved in person's life. And that, I believe, is a little bit shift of robotics more recently. And I usually say that this is our magic equations, that robot should not be completely, quote, autonomous. In the past, that we want robot to be autonomous, autonomous, autonomous. That was our slogan. I did that too, and I'm pretty sure many people have done that. But imagine that you have a robot that will help you, take you from your bed to morning breakfast table, feed you, and as soon as you want to go to bathroom, take you there and take care of you. As soon as you want to watch TV, turn it on for you. As soon as you want to go to bed, and then take you to the bed, and then maybe song for you. Now, you may not want to live with it. Why? Because you want to live yourself. Do things yourself. Therefore, what we named the magic equation. Robots should do what persons want to do, minus what he can do. That difference is what robots should provide. And we call this magic equation of robots. And I often say plus minus delta. And if you do a little more than this, plus delta, then you feel that it's convenient. If the robot does a little less, minus delta, then the robot is challenging you, and that definitely helps. It's known to help you to regain or learn or retain your capabilities. So maybe that's what robots should do. Now for that, I think the most important thing for a robot to do is to be aware of user, aware of environment, aware of the people that robot or people are dealing with, because people are part of environment, but special part of environment. Okay, so for that, I began to think that maybe we should do it a little bit differently. That is, when we are interested in knowing what you're doing right now, you're listening to my talk. Now, I want to know whether you are interested in my talk or you're bored already. In order to do that, the surveillance scenario says we put the camera here and look at you and detect your face, your body language, and try to interpret whether you are interested in my talk or not. Now, imagine that I or computer has so that one I called third-person vision, because a computer is acting as the third person. Imagine that I have access to your field of view. I means computer, and what you're looking at. So right now, probably your field of view is from here to there, 180 degree-ish, and either you're looking at me right now or looking at the screen. So if I have that information, isn't it much easier to get what you're doing? Because if you're not interested, maybe your eye is closed, and so forth. Okay, so I call that first-person vision, because the computer is acting as the first person. Now, how can I get that information? Now, in the future, I may be able to. This place is known to do a lot of neural thing, and maybe put the electrode in your brain and then tap your signal from eye to your brain, maybe got some help of your processing, and my computer is a little easier time. But for now, you may not want that. Therefore, let's think a simple thing. That is, that you agree to wear some glass that has some camera and motion sensor and all kinds of things. And then that sensor not only shares your field of view as well as look at your eye, so the system knows which part of the field of view you're actually looking at, gaze with. If I do that, then we should be able to do a lot of interesting things, because most likely older people live in the same place for a long time. And if we have, say, 1 terabyte, which is easy, my Seagate friend in Pittsburgh told me 1 terabyte will be less than 1 inch cubic in less than 5 years. 1 terabyte is about all the information that you would get in 1 month, or maybe more. Therefore, what you're looking at right now is probably the same picture that you have seen in the past, minus, plus. Maybe I am here new, but that's the only difference. Therefore, we can use all kinds of data-driven technique to know what you're doing, what you're interested in, what you will do next. Because if you pull out egg in your refrigerator, computer probably can guess what you would do next and may be able to help you. So that is the whole idea of the first-person vision. So we built the machine which has external view and then eye camera, 2 cameras, 3-axis IMU, microphone, and all synchronized. And if you look at the screen, then we can see what your eye is looking at. And interestingly, this is what you're looking at. And as a result, what you're looking at is inside and inside, actually infinite. It's very interesting, isn't it? It's recursively, the system sees it, right? You're looking at the mirror and so forth. It's the same thing. Okay, and then you can certainly think of different designs. And once you do that, it's relatively easy to know where you are, because all you have to compare is the picture. And we actually have even a program that in driving, without using any GPS or anything, you can tell exactly where you are and match with the picture with a scene. And so it works indoor, outdoor, GPS denied, and that's not a problem. What you're doing, are you agreeing with me? That's very easy. To detect your small motion from here is pretty tough, but knowing that you're nodding in synchrony with what I'm saying, or you say doing this, I can tell what you're thinking. And what your attention is, that's not that difficult. And so if you look at people, then connecting that with the human face recognition program, the system knows that who you're talking to, you've seen, and so forth. And if you look at certain object, then computer vision program can recognize what that is, the shape, and so forth. That's not that difficult. And you can, of course, computer knows when you put that back, when, and in what, how much left, and so forth. So you can tell how much your child drank the milk since you put that in without really recording, and so forth. And shape information and the possible. And if you have stereo first-person vision, and this is actually interesting, we can get pretty good real-time structure for motion with the stereo. This one is about 10 centimeter baseline. This is the entrance of our building, Newell Simon Hall. And 3D structure is pretty well done, and you see the motion of the head, which is waving, recovered, not bad. Of course, in real scene, there are lots of moving objects like people, which may not appear next time. So we should remove them from what we remember, because next time you may not see the same person. and reconstruct the shape, as you see, have removed all of them by knowing they are not part of the structure. And that's not that difficult to do today. And most recently, we actually applied this to 3.5 centimeter, about this much, baseline camera. That is the cell phone. So cell phone, this next generation, will have 2 cameras. And cell phone is about this size, so baseline is about this much. Okay, so this is the result of 3.5 centimeter baseline structure from motion, walking down path. And I'm fairly excited about this because, as I said, it's only 3.5 centimeter baseline. So that's, you can hold, right? That's enough. Not 10 is reasonable because if you put 2 cameras here, you can get about more than 10 centimeter. To 3 centimeter is only probably as big as 1 camera. Okay. Of course, you can't go that far, but the integrating the information with this much distance, I'm fairly excited about. Now, what other people are doing, not my work, my colleague, Professor Marshall Hebert, and his student, Kay, actually did recognition of action. And I always like this, even though it's a little old work. Pick up action. So this is a training video. And what these people did is show that video and detect the similar motion if that happens. Pick up motion detector. And I really like this because it actually works pretty well, you know. Now, these people are actually the people who are part of the project. So they know how the program works. So in that sense, it's cheating. So we said, okay, can you make this work for video that was not coming from your own videotaping? And apparently, if you go to YouTube, there are a lot of pick-up motion video like this. See? I was told there's a really mean game. That is, you place a coin and secretly videotape people, and you bet whether that person will pick that up or not. And when the person picks that up, the video is uploaded. So there are lots of pick-up motion video. And they actually applied to these, and this is stabilized, so you see the camera doesn't move. See? That's easy because only one person moving, and then he picked that up. And this is even more difficult, like that. So maybe we have now automated pickup game scorer. I don't know whether that's useful or not. Now, of course, you can do a lot of other things like more interesting, like door open and things like that. Of course, we are interested in a little more detailed analysis. This is very old work that we did some time ago, actually about 7 or so years ago. We can actually track, neglect this circular representation, track the motion of torsos and hand. This is all automatic. Nothing is done during the processing, completely automatic. From initialization to the end. Taking one advantage, that is the waist part is more or less fixed because it's a driving scenario. And we know where those person is, the body is, and we can actually anticipate what the person is going to do next. So the yellow part is the computer thinks that he is going to reach next. And the red is where the person actually is. You see? So yellow lights up a little earlier than red at the same position, meaning computer knows where he is reaching before he reaches that position. Therefore, the computer may be able to the car may be able to service him before he does certain things. So in a sense, it's anticipating what the driver is going to do.
So what tactic do you use to do this prediction?
Prediction is very simple. Once we know how the person moves, then you can apply any learning method that connects the trajectory initial part to the trajectory and then guess where he's reaching and then answer the one which has higher than a certain percentage. When the decision reaches some higher percentage, one of them gets highest confidence higher than a certain percentage, we output. This is not my work, and this one, the tracking is not as automated, but if we could do, then the 3D reconstruction of her motion is actually doable. And therefore, computer can tell what the person is doing three-dimensionally and guess what he or she wants to do next. It's actually interesting, isn't it? If you look at only this, we can sort of guess what the person is doing. I think that there might be interesting future of this type of technology. Again, if you have a stereo, the situation is a lot better, and you can predict where the motion is going to go next. And this arrow, green means it is the same, is not moving with respect to the world. Red, and more red it is, it's moving with respect to the world. And we are trying to interpret this flow, 3D flow. This is 3D because it's using stereo to guess the motion. And unlike completely vision-based, 2D-based, we can do a little better. And since, again, this is in stereo, so it can work indoor-outdoor because we're not using any other means to sense. Now, face is my favorite topic. In 1973, if you process one image, you could write a paper. If you use 10 images, we said at that time, with a large-scale experiment. And I had actually, 1973, 1,000 images collected World Expo 1970 in Osaka. And so I had 3 times more than large-scale experiment. 3 orders of magnitude of large-scale experiment. And I worked on face recognition at that time, and faces since then is my favorite. And we are really interested in intent recognition or emotion. And our approach is not classifying or categorizing your emotion into so-called 6 categorized emotion: the disgust, fear, happy, surprise, sadness, and anger. The reason is we don't do these things. When you are angry, you don't say, ah! You little bit change. When you're happy, you little bit change. And somehow we understand. That's what we want. Now, it's tough because it's not that big one. And in doing that, I think timing and other things are very important, which I think computer can do pretty well. It's like, this is, again, older work. We want to continue to this. This is the case where mother and infant are communicating. And if you actually track her and child mouth opening amount, which is indicator of the smile, then it's interesting that mouth opening height is completely synchronized, except it's 180 degrees shifted, meaning that child tries to please mother, mother tries to please child. It's very interesting, and it's very indicative. And psychology people are most happy to see this as evidence of their theory, because they said that it was not possible till this kind of technology can actually prove that point. And so we are interested in doing that kind of stuff. And one interesting experiment is the timing is the key role in messaging. So if you see this versus this, which one do you think is a genuine smile? This versus this. Which one do you think is a genuine smile? Yeah, this one. And that most people think that way. Now, however, to tell you the truth, these two are exact same video, except I played that one twice faster. So pictorially, they are the same thing. Only difference is the speed. Only difference. And yet, most people like you believe that left-hand side is more genuine. In other words, the speed is very important in our perception of genuineness. And a very interesting psychology test is we put you in a room and show you interesting movie and secretly videotape, and then measure the amount of mouth opening, which is sort of indicator of your smiling, and the time that it takes to get there from natural point to the maximum. Okay? So we call it amplitude, meaning the size of the opening, onset time, the time it takes from natural to that maximum opening. And if you plot for alone, in other words, you are alone in the room, and we show the funny movie, and you smile. So we assume that you're genuinely smiling. And this is the onset time and amplitude relationship, meaning most of the smile is small. You see, amplitude is very small. And some bigger smile, it takes a long time. Yeah? Okay, so this is sort of a time trajectory speed. Now, when we ask you to smile and do the same thing, then this is exactly what happened. You see, when people ask, amplitude is much bigger. You see, amplitude much bigger. And to get the same amplitude, it takes shorter time. In other words, you smile much faster. And most interesting thing is, at the interview, imagine that you're a job interview, or you are interviewing with your boss. It goes in between, because most likely you're faking part of it, because you want to please your interviewer. But not perfectly. Therefore, it goes between. And some people even fail, you see, fail the effort for natural smile. He or she is smiling too big, too fast. So I told my students, okay, this finding is very important. When you go to job interview, if the interviewer says something funny, don't smile like, smile slowly, small. And then he or she thinks that you really liked his joke, and he'll like you. This is genuinely true. Now, for that kind of thing to actually do, I think our technology is not there yet. So we are working on it a lot. This is tracker of head motion tracker that we're working. And top left is the real output. Others are intermediate. The arrow shows the direction of the face. This is only 2D, only video, no 3D. It's not using like Kinect 3D, just video. And it's doing pretty well and reasonably robust to occlusion, not perfect. and when it comes back fairly quickly. And sometimes it loses, yet it actually comes back fairly quickly, like that. We want to, my goal is really never fail program. A long way to go, I think. Yeah, you see, sometimes it fails, it comes back, but it fails. The more detailed analysis of tracker. This is a combination of Cylinder and Jason's program to track. Still, you see, it's missing. I really don't like it's not perfect to the level that we feel it should. This is a generic program, so it can handle anybody and reasonably well. So making this work, we are now working on precise occlusion robust all pose face alignment program. And this is our most recent result. And we are fairly happy. You see, it's perfect. Not even a small difference. I really like some of these things. It looks like as if it's a human annotated result. It's completely automatic. Okay, and pose and occlusion. All these occlusion. And good thing about this program is different from other program is actually it knows the fact that it's occluded. It's not the case that even with occlusion, result is happen to be good. Program knows that occlusion is there. If you look at the output, this part, yellow points are not shown. Yeah? This yellow points are not shown. And other things. The points that, yellow points are the points that program thinks they are, and if they are not shown, program knows that those parts are not part of the face. So in that sense, the program knows that what should not be used. And I think this is a very important program in any AI artificial intelligence program. In other words, a program that knows that it doesn't know. And that is very important because in other programs, program may be doing okay, but is not confident. So it knows, whether it knows that is very big difference. And this is actually based on the fact that the modeling of our recognition is unlike traditional one, which is the B, which is the base parameter that create shape. Shape is created S. And then that is transformed with unknown transform, theta, and then Y is the picture. And then graphical model allows you to recover B and Y, B and theta, which is original shape, and what is the rotation and the shape, size change, and so forth. We extended that idea to include part of the thing that are hidden. So MP is the hidden model. Which part is hidden? And you observed only YP, part of observables. Okay? Now MP is unknown because you don't know which part is occluded. It's a chicken and egg problem, right? If I do this, then this part should not participate in deciding where the face is. But in order to know this is occluding, you have to know where the face is. It's obviously a chicken and egg problem. And we can do that reasonably well by using Ransack running on this scheme, and that's what we showed. Originally, our technique applied to car, and the car detector and alignment worked pretty well. This is all automatic, and you see parts of the car occluded and so forth, but it actually aligned pretty well. On top of that, as I said, program knows which part of the car is actually occluded. As a notation, if you look at if the dots are shown like this one, say say like this one, like this, this. If the dots are shown with black dots in it, that means the program thinks that part is not, that dot is not part of the, is not visible. That's program guessed. It knows this is what my guess, not from observation, right? And so you can see here. This is a pretty tough example. Yellow car is occluding yellow car, and you see the program knows that these 3 points are not part of that car, things like that. And then I think this type of...
So to do this, for this kind of application, do you need to build the car model?
This one, yes, we built the car model, by, which actually handled pretty well truck, sedan, this kind of a car, and it worked pretty well. And we do the same for phase 2. And so we are perfecting this for phase so that we can completely do tracking. Now, eventually, this is what we want to do.
顔で我々人を
I call it Obama
認
speaks
識したり
Japanese.
自分の感情や
I'm speaking Japanese, and
意思
Obama
を
does the
伝える
same
わけ
thing.
です
So I call it Obama speaks
で
Japanese.
も顔を認識して検出して
And unlike movie,
追跡して
no dots,
表情を理解する
no
というのはなかなか難しいことなんで
mocap
す
dots.
いろんな顔がありますし顔はこういろんな方向に動きますし表
All
情とい
right,
うのは
so
非常に
with this, I'm actually looking at the building a new facility, which I named Visual Communication Lab. And if you come to my office, my front, next to my office, there's a big, fairly big room, 12 feet high, 12 feet, 10 feet high, and 2 of them side by side. And we divide it to half, okay? And each room has a huge display. I'm building 6,000 dots display. 8,000 by 6,000 dots display, 2 of them. And high definition TV, I talked with Canon, and they gave me 32 high definition camera. And so I'm combining all of them to create this huge video from one room to the next. So as is, it's nothing but video conference, extravagant video conference room. But what we're going to do is to insert computer between the two and do that cloning. So the guy you're here, think that you are talking with a beautiful woman, but actually you may be talking with me. And you think she's smiling a lot, but I may not be smiling. She may be doing this, I might be doing this. So I think we can control all the things that is happening between the two and see how our interpretation of other person's intention, feeling, emotion, where do they come from? And I think this is maybe the first time that we can do this kind of psychology experiment with a complete scientific control. Because in the past, I always joke my psychology colleagues, your research seems to be only anecdotal. Do something and ask people, do you like him? And they, yes. And they, why? Oh, he smiled a lot. Is that really the reason? We don't know. And one of the earlier experiments with much impoverished experiment is that women tends to do this more often than men. That is believed. And some psychologists think that because of the history, women were not as recognized historically. Therefore, they have to convince that other side that she is understanding what the person is talking. Okay? That's some explanation. Is that really true or not? And it's also observed that when you're talking with women, And if the other side does this, then male also begins to do this too. Is that because of the women, or is that because he does this, she does this? Okay. And we can control that because we can change, right? And those are the, so that's what we're trying to do. Eventually, I really like to do this. This is the work that we did. This is Simon Baker, who used to be around here, I think. Around 2005, I think, we could transfer, sort of clone action from one person to the other without mocap. See? That was not perfect. There's some error around here. A little bit corrected. So this is synthetic. And you can compare. Oh, yeah, this is fly through. This was not real time. At that time, 2003, I think, it took about a week or so to produce from left to right. Action cloning, if you want to call. Okay? Now, I like to do this in real time. And then we certainly did 3D modeling, what we call digitization. This is 1995, so 15 years ago I did this. That happened, and this is the concatenation of two actions and 3D modeling and generation of new video from that. You know, this is 17 years old work, so it's not as good as maybe that you can do today, but we believe that we could do that 17 years ago. But this took probably 2 or 3 months to produce from input to this output. Okay. Now, if we can do this in real time, then we can completely fool people from room 1 to room B, to 2. And we can control anything we want based on the real action that you did. And for that, we are now, right now, building 1,000 camera system. We call it Virtualizing Engine room. This is the room. We now have 480 cameras. My money runs out, so that's about what we have. Eventually, I like to use this for this. So this is ultimate goal of this thing. So let me quickly go through a few more work that we're doing. So all these things might be help visually impaired people. We call visual prosthetic. This is tongue-based communication. And the interesting thing is that computer vision may do various things, understand but how to communicate, what language, what code should be displayed to him through her, through tongue. Also, we're interested in using FirstPerson Vision as a driver assistance. I often say that with the FirstPerson Vision, we can tell. You see, green is the world, red is not the world. So computer vision actually knows which part is world, which part is not in the world. And also, computer vision knows which part you're looking at. And if you look at today's car, actually, there are lots of intelligence there already. Environment is sensed by external camera. That feeds to car system. And car system also has some physiological sensor. Many of them do. And then knows, try to guess what you're doing. Yet, one thing is missing. That is environment and how you are interpreting the environment. You see, you are looking at the environment. But the computer does not know what is your interpretation. And FirstPerson Vision might be the one which connect between you and the environment. Then this is a genuine helper, driver helper. There are lots of other application scenario we're looking at. Autism Understanding. If you look at what the autism child might do, she's not. We're interested in how the evaluator, clinician, will evaluate the children by actually tracking her action, where she's looking at, what she does. Red is what the clinician is looking at, and this green thing is what this child might be looking at. And maybe we can connect that to understand how she is looking. She's obviously tracking the ball, and how when her eye moves to the ball to the clinician, and in order to communicate. These things will probably possible. And then we are thinking of all kinds of scenario of application. Worker assembly. If the robot knows at what stage the worker is in for doing the assembly, then robot might be able to help at the right timing. Just like surgical assistant can help surgeon at the right timing to give the right tool. She knows what the surgeon will ask, not responding to him, okay? Because she understands at which stage the surgeon is at. And computer might be able to do the same. Retail analysis, how long the person is looking at things, is that really from interest? How many things she picked up in order to make a decision, and so forth. Social network, we might be interested in applying this idea. I usually say real-time Taj Mahal. I use the Taj Mahal as an example. There are lots of people in Taj Mahal. So why not we ask them to wear first-person vision, and we actually hop on each person. And if the person that you're hopping on is making a right turn, but you want to make a left turn, then you hop on the person who is actually making a left turn. So in real time, you can be there. It's not a pictorial visit. It's a real visit right now. And we might be able to do that. So all those things are kind of a scenario, and I like to end with my claim that first-person vision is a real embedded human system, symbiotic system, because it's not just technically eye tracker and video vision system. Yes, there's some portion of that, but the key is it's not for recall, but it's a real-time interaction of human and computer system. In that way, in such a way that human helps system, because what human is doing, computer knows is a real help. Inside the car, after all, driver is probably the most intelligent system. Why not we use his or her decision in order to make a better decision? Okay? And in turn, that system will help people. And so I think there are lots of interesting CS and EE challenge to make this really happen. And as I said, nothing really has been done to the level that it's really usable, I have to confess. But I think there's an interesting possibility for this type line of thinking. Thank you very much.